let me figure out what's going on with your scoliosis. So I was moving my hands along, and I feel this like claw. Like, it's like just denser energy, but in the shape of a claw. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, should not be here. And so I pull it off, and I don't know what to do with it, so I just like throw it. I just like let go of it, right? And I feel this thing like crawl up my back and dig its claws into my back, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm like 500 pounds. Like, I feel like so heavy. I'm like, what the hell just happened? And I was like, okay, Archangel Michael, I need help here. What the fuck am I doing? And he was like, fire, like, burn it. And I was like, okay. So I went over to my gas stove and pulled it off my back, stuck in the fire, and it was gone. It was good, but it was like little pieces. It still felt a little weird. So I called up my friend, who I knew he was an alien because I've seen in his eyes, and he told me. And anyway, so I called him up.
And you just answered the alien. Just, does he have a cell phone or a home phone? Or
yeah, well, he's incarnated as a human. So anyways,
Okay.
I called him up. I was like, what the hell am I doing?
The Todd Shapiro Show, SiriusXM 168.
Alicia Fricker, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So, really interesting story. We, Bulow, hang on. I got to, Bulow, every time you film people, you get Jay's shoulder. Do you have Jay's shoulder in that shot?
I'm cutting it out right
And did you do that with Robin Black? Like, you film all this stuff, you put it on YouTube, and you like, stand up. Get over Jay.
I'm short. It's easy.
I know. Sorry, Alicia.
That's okay.
So we met, Jay, we met at SiriusXM's Top Comic, and Ben Miner is doing some sort of Q&A and questioning and back and forth and, you know, kind of trying to rip into the audience and having a lot of fun with it. The Top Comics have been amazing, and we're so excited for the next rounds. And Alicia was so fun with Ben. They had this, like, backstage banner just as an audience member, and I'm like, we got to get to know this girl because she'll make great radio. What is a shaman? You're a shaman, right?
Yeah, so pretty much it's kind of a weird thing. You can do all kinds of shit. Pretty much, like, I do exorcisms. I help people find their spirit guides and go on journeys sober, which is kind of crazy because you're like, dude, you need mushrooms for that shit. Or you're like, oh, you need to do like ayahuasca. It's like, no, you don't. You just need to fucking do the right little hypnosis-y tricks, and then you're inside your subconscious and you can like play around and talk to your dead grandma and shit.
Wow. Get Nona on the phone.
So, I mean, how do you discover you kind of have this talent to help people explore this sort of extra different sense of themselves?
Yeah, well, I think like my whole life, both my parents are super spiritual. So like you can kind of, like, I've had it throughout my whole life, but a lot of people, like, I teach it. So I've had over like 170 students, and they learn it within like the first 3 hours how to like fucking see crazy shit. For me, it was like my dad has had stigmata. He's walked on water. He's done like astral travel. My mom talks to plants and asks them what they do to heal you. So she's like, this oak tree will like cure this, and it like deals with this emotion. So like both my parents are super spiritual. So I was around this like my whole life, and you know, when my mom was mad at me, she's like, go outside and breathe colors by that tree. And I'm like, but Mom, I don't know how. You know, so that was like my upbringing. And then we also like grew up at this like healing retreat center where we had like tigers and lions and like camels and emu and peacocks and
these are your
monkeys
pets
and stuff. Well, they were just like they were there. We had like just little, you know, wooden cages and stuff, and I'd go hang out with them every day, and that was like my existence.
So let me ask you a question. You know, your parents, some would say, oh, they're just hippies, or oh, they're just probably smoking, you know, too much marijuana, whatever and stuff. In your opinion, is like most of the world not in touch with what we should really be in touch with? And, you know, the fact that you can help find it for us is you know, do more human beings need this kind of cleansing?
Oh yeah, fucking of course. Like, if you think about it like this, like everybody's, pretty much every issue in people's lives can be healed by yourself, right? Because you're the one fucking creating your issues. So, like, I realized that people, they create negative thought patterns when they're young, right? They're like, they don't know what reality is, right? So they're like, Mom, what is reality? What's life? And you're like, you know, the sky's blue and stuff. But they actually teach them bullshit sometimes, right? So you end up learning like all kinds of weird things when you're trying to understand for yourself. So, you know, my dad would like leave forever, and I'll be like, oh, I'm not worthy of love, or I can't do this, or I'm not good enough. And then you project it, and then you get it back, and then every time it happens, you become like you believe it's more true. So you end up attaching all this shit to yourself, and it creates these like holes in your aura and your energy field where shit can come in. So demons can come in, fucking other spirits, and they can like leech onto you and suck your energy, and you're like, oh, I got this weird pain on my shoulder I've had since I was like 10 and I don't know how to get rid of it. It's like this chronic pain. And then you're like, oh, well, look at it. And they look at it and they see this like weird traumatizing memory and some belief, and you change it, and then it's like, the pain's gone. It's like, yeah, well, I also took a demon out of there, but now you're good. And like you close up the hole and they're good. And they're good like forever, and the pain is gone like permanently. So it's kind of like you can be your own healer. You just need like the right guidance, and everyone fucking has this shit. Like really, everyone does. It's kind of weird.
Jay Brody.
Now, on to Bulow, right? We have to talk a little bit about...
Yeah, I think I want to have Alicia back, though, and do Bulow maybe like in a week or two. Will you come back on the show? Because I was going to get you to suck the demon out of him, which is he talk like, just talk in the microphone, will you? Talk in the mic. Do you have a I mean, is this a demon, Alicia?
This is my voice all the time. I have a lot of allergies.
Can we suck that out of him? Can he talk with a lower voice?
Well,
that's
I
a
try
demon.
to sing, and then I try to have a cleaner tone. No.
Well, I'm a vocalist. I can definitely teach you how to lower your voice if you want to do that.
That would help. That'd be a start.
That might just be so. That would be a joking thing, but you can actually get like pains out of people's back. What is the process? How do you go about and do that kind of stuff?
Usually
Talk a little closer to the mic. Sorry, Alicia.
Yeah.
Alicia Fricker joins us, by the way. What's your website?
What is it? Facebook.com/triangle therapy.
Okay.
Yeah. I kind of am just using that right now. I'm like redoing my website. So
Facebook's all you need. You don't even need it.
Yeah. I actually like kind of do that thing where I just add everybody that like tries to find me. So I have like over like 2,600 friends or something.
Nice.
But anyways, so yeah, find me and you'll be my friend forever and ever. Yeah, so wait, what was the question?
Just like, how do you go about getting the demon out of the human being?
Well, I was taught a lot of this shit actually by angels. So I started doing
angels.
Yeah, I started doing Reiki, and
like deceased human beings, angels.
Angels never were human.
Oh, they weren't.
Sometimes their spirits can split and they can become human as well. But there's 10 archangels, Michaels in the fucking world, or like maybe 1,000. It's like everyone was spirit split like a bunch. Like that happens a lot.
Are there a lot of angels?
Yeah, there's a core of it's the same thing with like Christianity. It's like archangels, and then there's like sub ones, like a lot of saints have become angels and that kind of thing. But yeah, I just started I actually somebody injured my knees at one point, and I couldn't walk.
So someone injured your knees?
Somebody injured my knees, and
who injured your knees? Like a Tanya Harding kind of thing? Like someone took a crowbar to your knees?
Kind of. Jesus
Christ!
They fucked me up. So
anyways, like an actual physical beating, not like. I'm so sorry to hear that.
No,
so your knees got fucked up by someone beating you up.
Yeah, and I couldn't walk for a year and a half.
Someone really fucked up your knees.
Yeah. So.
Oh shit! Did this person go to jail?
No. But anyway, so I couldn't walk for a year and a half, and I just lived in my dreams because I was like, I'm going to learn how to lucid dream. I'm going to be fucking sleeping all the time anyways. And so while I was in my dreams, I was able to differentiate things. So I'm like, okay, that's me. I'm creating that. That's an actual person. This is not a person. What the fuck is this? And so I would be able to, I started to be able to see aliens and stuff. And I've been seeing them since I was a kid. But, I started being able to differentiate what was an alien, what was me, what was a person. And they would fucking create these weird fucking dreams for me. And then I would call them on it, and they'd fucking attack me. And I'd wake up and be like, what the fuck? So pretty much, eventually I learned how to deal with it and learned how to do all this protection shit and whatever, and that's how I started to be able to hear angels, because I was able to differentiate the voices that I was hearing in my head. So I'd be like, oh, that's my inner child, that's my 5-year-old. This is some weird demon thing, because they have this weird sneaky sly voice. Angels is dead on to the point. It's one word you hear in your head, and that's how it started. Now they crack jokes all the freaking time, and it's actually really funny.
I was speaking of cracking jokes, it's. I don't want to be the douchebag who's like, oh god, this chick's messed up, right? I don't want to. I don't want to be that guy, because I'm trying to take what you say. and trying to fathom, does this actually exist for everybody, or does this just exist for very special people? Which, Alicia Fricker, some would consider you a very special person. And I don't want to knock down on it, because I do believe in spiritual awakenings. I do believe, you hear all these stories how people have been possessed and then are better. And I'm just wondering, though, is there kind of like a happy medium here where some of it could be medical, some of it could be physical, some of it could be because a doctor helped you out, some of it just could be because you saw a psychiatrist and spoke freely about who you really were. Like, it just sounds so extreme for me. And I don't want to make fun of it. I'm trying not to make fun of it. And part of it's kind of strangely really turning me on. Okay.
Sweet.
Because I want to go and speak to, like, I'll get all this, like, have holes in me and get rid of the bad. And, like, it's exciting to know that I might feel better as a human being one day.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a lot of, like, really straight edge people that come to me because they're like, what the fuck is this? I gotta try this. And, like, seriously, people have seen, like, nothing their whole life. And, it's actually as simple as, like, turning on the pineal gland. Like, the pineal gland, if you know, is, like, right in here, in your, like, just past your third eye. And
your third eye?
Your third eye is like that imaginary space between your fucking eyebrows,
okay.
The unibrow land. So there's, like, an energetic point. It's actually, like, a place in the brain which triggers, dreams. And so if you can, like, I do this exercise where I get people to imagine, like, a green moth in there flapping its wings around, and then all the light, the green light that comes through it, I imagine it, or they imagine it going and hitting the different parts of their body and going through all the way throughout. So pretty much they're just connecting that part of them to the inside of their body, and then they can see where everything is. And so people that have never seen anything, I have my hands at a certain point, and I'm like, where's your pain? And they're like, oh, my left shoulder. And then I'll put my hands there, and I'll know what it is because I can differentiate what is there, like whether it's, past life cord or a cord to somebody. Like if somebody cheats on you and it's like that feeling. So I help them find out what it is, and they actually see everything. Like if it's a past life, they see the whole life. If it's like a cord to somebody, they'll see a color, they'll see a texture, and then they look through and they'll see.
What are some of your success stories?
Oh, man. I have some crazy ones. I guess I had 3 different clients in...
we only have 3 minutes here, but we're going to have you back. Yeah.
Okay.
Jay, was I right or right when I said that this is going to be great radio?
Fantastic.
yeah, right. Like, and Jay loves this stuff because he loves his, like, opioids and stuff. Like,
not opioids. I like psychedelics. Opioids are another. Is a terrible.
Whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's terrible. They're terrible.
His DMTs and stuff.
DMT all day.
Okay, DMT all day long.
That's my old music partner.
Anyway, so give us in a minute a great success story.
Yeah. So
did you remove aliens from someone once or something?
Yeah. Well, yeah. The alien one is interesting.
What's this one? Yeah.
Okay, so I had a client who came in out of nowhere. Like one of my roommates brought her over one day, and she had horrible scoliosis, and she's like, "I've been abducted by aliens. I don't know what's going on." And I was like, "Okay. Well, I've seen them around my whole life, but I haven't actually,
What do they look like?
dealt with it." They're kind of like what you think of what a ghost would look like, except they don't make your hair stand on end. They just feel like there's a person in the room. And they're really tall, usually like a blur, like a gray blur, and really tall. But anyways, so this client, I was like, cool, well, let me figure out what's going on with your scoliosis. So I was moving my hands along, and I feel this, like, claw. Like, it's like just denser energy, but in the shape of a claw. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, should not be here. And so I pull it off, and I don't know what to do with it, so I just, like, throw it. I just, like, let go of it, right? And I feel this thing, like, crawl up my back and dig its claws into my back, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm, like, 500 pounds. Like, I feel, like, so heavy. I'm like, what the hell just happened? And I was like, okay, Archangel Michael, I need help here. What the fuck am I doing? And he was like, fire, like, burn it. And I was like, okay. So I went over to my gas stove and pulled it off my back, stuck it in the fire. and it was gone. It was good, but it was like little pieces. It still felt a little weird. So I called up my friend who I knew he was an alien because I've seen in his eyes, and he told me. And anyway, so I called him up.
And you just answered the alien. Does he have a cell phone or a home phone? Or
yeah, well, he's like he's incarnated as a
technology.
human. So anyways, I called him up. I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, what do I do with this thing? I found this claw. He's like, I don't know, but my friend Jeanette knows. Actually, I bumped into her on the way here, which is really funny. But anyways, I haven't seen her in like a year. So he was like, my friend Jeanette knows. She's like super knowledgeable in this stuff. I'm like, cool. So I go over to her house or her treatment space. She puts this little crystal on my head. And she's like, look for the manual. And I'm like, what? You okay? So it was like she put me into this hypnotic state. I looked for the manual and was able to figure out what to do with it. So there's like buttons. And
anyway, we don't have a lot of time, but you got rid of this fucking claw.
You take it off. Yeah, I learned how to take them off, and I found them in every single client since then.
No way. So there could be claws in all of us from aliens?
There is almost definitely claws.
Can we get you back next week or the week after?
Yeah.
Are you cool with that? We'll expand on this, and can we try and suck out the nasally voice of Bulow?
Yes.
That was another rare moment in mainstream media where your broadcasters actually spoke the truth. Okay, we lied. We're not quite mainstream. We're bigger. The Todd Shapiro Show on SiriusXM 168.
Hey, what's up? I'm Roddy. Subscribe to our channel. You're going to love it. For the rest of this episode, you got to check out our podcast online on the website. Go check it out. You won't be disappointed.